Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucks on Pittsburgh Baseball Now. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got, of course, Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday. Happy Cyber Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, happy Cyber Monday. I don't know, did you get any post-Thanksgiving shopping out of the way this weekend?
No.
Nothing.
No. Yeah. You?
I got I picked up a few hats.
That is the big expenditures.
Two Pirates hats. I got a Louisville hat, and I got like a Louisville hoodie too. So
there you go.
Nothing major though.
No, I don't know why. I mean, I used to go all out Black Friday. I'd get up at 4 a.m. at times and go shopping. And
well, I don't think that's a thing anymore. I don't even know if that's a thing. Like, so I was talking about this with someone the other day. Like, I remember, you'd have Thanksgiving, and then like at midnight. Like places would open at midnight, like the malls, the outlet malls. And I don't think that happens anymore.
I used to do that as well. Not as much. Yeah. A few times I went out with like friends at like midnight. But no, what I'm alluding to is, I used to do that. And anymore, I don't even like look at sales anymore. I would be looking at like the TGI, TGIBlackFriday.com. Is that what it was? I'd be looking at that in like September, trying to find like starting in like the deals and stuff, scouring. But also I think the big thing as well is Black Friday is kind of minimizing, and it's just becoming like the whole entire holiday. Like everything, all the sales were always like Black Friday, and then Cyber Monday was the online thing. And I feel like now it's just like, it's the whole holiday season. Come when you want.
Black Friday started like a month ago. I feel like I was getting Black Friday emails like a month ago.
There you go. That's kind of what I'm alluding to.
It's like a whole
and even a month ago, I wasn't paying much attention either. So
yeah,
it also kind of sucks when like. I just feel like I'm also the type, if I want something, I typically just like get it. And like when it comes to holidays, and like my wife too, and it's like when it comes to these like gift giving times, it's like, well, you and I kind of have what we want.
Must be nice. Kind of DiNardo doesn't need to take advantage of Black Friday deals. He just gets what he wants. Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't need anything.
Yeah. Well, you know who did go Black Friday shopping?
Ty did.
No, the Pirates.
But Ty also did. And I'm happy for Ty. But let's get to the Pirates. I know I ruined the transition.
The Pirates went Black Friday shopping. They saw what they wanted, and they got it. So yeah. I don't know what the math is. I haven't looked at it. I know a lot of people were tweeting about it on Friday, but do we have a number on like how much this $6.75 million deal stacks up?
Well, it was the largest since 2018, right? Well, right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. It's the largest since 2018, which speaks volumes. As far as like the largest in history, is that what you're getting to as well?
Yeah, like I think it's top 10.
It could be top 10. I didn't go down the list to see as like how far it is as far as the largest. But I mean, that speaks volumes. It really does.
So sad. So sad. But yeah, I mean, let's get to it. This is pretty much going to be our topic for today, I would imagine. But Pirates sign first baseman, DH, switch hitter, veteran Carlos Santana. 1 year, $6.75 million. He started last year with the Royals. He was traded over to the Mariners near the deadline. Played for Seattle down the stretch. Played for them in the postseason. So, I mean, it was I wouldn't necessarily. It wasn't like a vintage Carlos Santana season, right? I mean, everybody knows who he is. He's been playing since 2010. But it was definitely a bounce back from his 2021 campaign. Like he had a really rough 2021 campaign, and then in 2022 came back, kind of reestablished himself as a nice. He got on base a lot. Hit for a little bit of pop, at least basically an average hitter, major league hitter. But at least a positive WAR player too. But no, I think I like this signing. I mean, we talked about going in. I don't know how many times we talked about just how much of a black hole first base was, and it was a black hole all last year. You had Josh Van Meter and Michael Chavis basically getting the bulk of the playing time there, and they've immediately now addressed that with Ji-Man Choi and Carlos Santana, who are two actual major league caliber first baseman. So shout out to the Pirates on this one.
The first thing I want to say is, and you look down below, the waiver claim. Look at the ticker right now, right? Pirates claim Lewin Diaz off waivers. And we talked about that a little bit and how that might be, like you brought up, I believe, how it might be the insurance policy for Choi. I didn't really think that route, so it kind of makes sense. And here's the thing, like with the Carlos Santana signing, it's not official yet. So like there is no movement on someone's going to get purged off the 40-man, obviously, when this happens, right? But it's not official. It's pending the physical. When that happens, we'll find out. I mean, maybe it will be Lewin Diaz right away. I don't know. Maybe they'll keep him for the insurance policy. But what I want to say is the fact that you mentioned it's $6.725 million. And we're talking it's the largest since 2018. And this is an actual major leaguer. Says a lot right now. This is so when you talk about why you like this signing, which I do like the signing. Reasons why, the biggest one is the Pirates have actually addressed an issue with real solutions. This isn't right. Like you would have expected when Andujar was picked up the end of last offseason. That was going to be the solution for first base. We were kind of shocked that he didn't play first base at all, right? I just felt that was a solution. We're going to pick up Andujar. He's going to turn it around. He's going to give you the Rookie of the Year season stats, and there you go. And it's like he's not. We're retreading tires again. This sucks. So they went out and they got Choi. They got now Carlos Santana. And obviously, they're both limited, right? Like you said, it's not vintage Santana. Even Choi's coming on and downslide a bit, right? Like these aren't guys that you're excited about where there's a ton of upside and like this guy can carry your offense at sometimes. No, but I don't think they're terrible by any means.
No.
We'll talk more about Santana, but I think there can be real production out of first base this year. But the biggest thing for me about this signing too, the biggest one, is the veteran presence, is the clubhouse aspect. As I kept saying last year, like the blind leading the blind. Like you have, everyone that's been on this club, and you guys corrected me with Kevin Newman. He did that 1 year, the winning season, right? But it's like everyone who's been on this club has been a loser. And I say that not in the malicious way. It's just they've never won anywhere. And it's not like the guys that Charrington's bringing in are guys that keep getting thrown off team after team after team. So it's not like they're coming in and saying, hey, guys, here's how we're going to win, and here's what I do to prepare to win. You have two guys that come from winning organizations. Choi spent his career with all kinds of winning organizations, the majority of Tampa. Carlos Santana with the Indians, Seattle. Like he spent the Phillies. Like he spent his career on winning organizations. And you hear nothing but great things about Santana in the clubhouse. How valuable he's going to be to the young guys like Rodolfo Castro, who, if you're upset that he had a cell phone in his pocket and it came out running second base in the third, maybe stuff like that doesn't happen with the Carlos Santana in the clubhouse, right? Onel Cruz, like look at all the young guys in this team. This is an invaluable piece that could really help this rebuilding organization. And like I put out there, I'm sure the Royals players, right, those young guys, are in a much better place today having a Carlos Santana in that clubhouse last year and the year before than the Pirates are having a Michael Chavis in the clubhouse.
No, I mean, that's a good point. Santana has played in 5 postseasons throughout his career. And you mentioned, these guys aren't, and Connor too also says, this isn't really a high-end solution. That's exactly right. Like these guys, these aren't great first basemen by any means, right? But it at least takes a position that was god awful last year. Last year, Pittsburgh Pirates first baseman had a 68 weighted runs created plus, 68 weighted runs created plus. and a combined WAR of negative 1.7. Right?
Hold up. Where are you getting that? Because that's false.
No, it's correct. The stats that you're looking at are just when you change it to position, and it's not. I'm talking about people who actually played first, like the first base position last year.
Okay.
Your calculations and what everybody else is kind of using is just kind of everybody who played first base. It includes like when Josh Van Meter played second base. It includes when Chavis
My bad.
DH saw that. So yeah, you got to actually like make it so that
separated.
as a first baseman. So as a first baseman, 68 weighted runs created plus last year, negative 1.7 WAR. So just these two moves takes that, that hitting. Let's say they just are average this year. That at least takes you from the 30th best hitting team or the worst hitting team to the 20th best hitting team, right? Like we're not saying we're not saying first base is like we're really good now, right? It's just we're average now. Like we've got average first basemen, which is a big step forward from where they were last year.
Right. And I'm with you. Like that's the thing, and that's why I want to hesitate going this route. But like when you see Twitter and this is very divisive. I don't understand why. It's crazy because a lot of people complain that the Pirates don't go out there and spend money on players, and because they're cheap is why they got rid of Newman, and because they're cheap is why they got rid of Chavis, and yet they spend $6.725 real American millions of dollars on a player, and then they say, "Well, not this guy. This is dumb." Like I understand he's not setting the world on fire. And this isn't the piece to take the Pirates into the playoffs in the postseason and make that run. But what this does is it solidifies that position, which, like you said, was such a black hole that wasn't going to take much to improve. And they made sure they did it, and they did it with two vets. And also, when we talked about Troy, we mentioned how his defense was good. Like it's not great, but it's good. And that was the other biggest thing. Like, that's why I was all on board on keeping Chavis for the whole season. Like, just put him at first base every day. I don't care about splits because his defense alone just makes up for that because whoever else you're putting at first base is going to be terrible also offensively. So it's not like you're gaining much more out of Chavis or much more or less out of Chavis. Just put him there because he's actually playing some passable defense. You don't have to worry about that part this year. Like, you have Troy who plays defense well enough. Carlos Santana actually plays it pretty darn well.
Yeah.
He'd be the better defender of the two. So it's like not only you getting guys that can hit major league pitching, you're getting guys that can field. And again, take away the like clubhouse aspect, right? With that, think about the development for a player like O'Neill Cruz, who now has a competent first baseman to throw to.
Well, I mean, you can kind of look at it in a few ways. I mean, one, yeah, you got a competent first baseman now who can field. Two, competent first baseman who can field. Because really, even Michael Chavis made a lot of bad plays. Like there were a few like where it was like, thank you, Michael Chavis, but he made some bad plays over there too because none of them were first basemen.
Of course,
but we actually have first basemen now. You mentioned like being able to come in and help players in the clubhouse. Like, yeah, I mean, you've got two players where Santana can come in and kind of be a role model, maybe to those Dominican players. Ji-Wan Bae, has G-Man Choi now, from South Korea. So, yeah, I don't really know how you can be upset with these moves. Now, I can understand why maybe you're not like overly enthusiastic about it. Like it's not like they went out there and got Jose Abreu, right?
Right.
That's not what happened. They went out there and they got, cheaper options, but they are clear upgrades from where they were before. And they're up, and they're not necessarily like these aren't dumpster diving type moves. Like these are two first basemen who played the majority of the time for playoff teams. Like these were guys good enough to play every day for playoff teams last year. That's who
a team trying to get into the playoffs traded for a Carlos Santana to get there.
Yeah, like that's who they acquired. They didn't acquire just some bums. Like they acquired the first baseman from 2 playoff teams. So yeah, I haven't really seen any negativity on Twitter, but I also mute some people who may
You've
be
muted a
doing that.
lot of people.
Um,
A lot of people.
but I don't have time for that stuff anymore. I'm getting too old.
I
But
like making time for that stuff anymore.
like there are plenty of things.
I also am getting old.
There are plenty of things to trash this organization about. Plenty of them. You don't have to manufacture them. So like it's okay. Like I mean, I'm pretty critical of the Pirates on Twitter. I think most people find me annoyingly critical sometimes. But there's nothing to get upset about over these 2 moves. Like there are 2 moves that made the team better.
Yes,
like
for sure.
I don't know how people can get upset about that.
Right, and that's like what I'm alluding to. They spent money. I grant it. Like I'm not here saying like okay, like the payroll's fine now. They're spending money. They're not there. I get that. I'm not celebrating $6.725 million. Like holy shit, the Pirates are spending money. Look at them go. They can do this. It's just the fact that they're finally doing what they should have been doing. Like the Carlos Santana signing that they made right now. What prevented them from doing that last year? Like, why couldn't that be done a year ago? That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
And again, what if Carlos Santana was in that clubhouse last year? If there were things that upset you about what transpired over last year, the mindless plays and the stupid things that happened, like you want to go to the sunflowers, you want to go to the cell phone, like you want to go to all those different things and rile up and say, this is why the Pirates suck. Maybe, again, those things don't happen if you have a Carlos Santana there. That's all I'm getting at. They had no one in that clubhouse to say, here's the ropes. That's why a Carlos Santana, to me, is very invaluable to a rebuilding club like this. There's a reason why the Royals probably went out there and gave him 2 years, 18 point whatever million dollars it was, when they were also a real rebuilding club not going anywhere. Now, granted, he also played well. But also, again, that's why we keep going back to the Royals. Like, look, they're rebuilding also, but they're bringing in people that can play. Yeah, they're still losing. But again, is maybe Bobby Witt Jr. a better player today because Carlos Santana was in that clubhouse? He might be. He might be. So that's why I like this too. Like, it's not so much that this is what's going to set this team forward and be good. And like, you're not looking at this for 2024, like in Jose Abreu signing could have, that you're alluding to, right? But this is the steps to get the team there, right? Like we're saying, like this team lost 100 games last year. It's a bad baseball team. There's not going to be a one signing that makes this club good. This club cannot sign one player and anybody, even if it's Mike Trout, because also Mike Trout's with the Angels and they can't get anywhere. It's not, they could bring in Mike Trout and this team's not a playoff team still. So you can't look at any singular signing and say, oh, well, there's the playoffs. That's not going to happen. But like the team's got to walk before they run. They are a terrible team. They're still borderline terrible, assuming where transactions might go, right? Mm-hmm. They're still a very, very bad team. That's fair to say, regardless how you look at it. But they're at least getting to point B. That's what this alludes to. And that's where I'm fine with it. And also, like with a 1-year signing, like there's no long-term solution here. I get that. There's still a whole first base. I don't think Nunez is the answer. They didn't protect him, so I don't think that really, really makes them think like that highly of him. Not to say he can't one day, but also I look at this that this team isn't there yet either. What if you sign a Jose Abreu and then in 2 years he turns into a pumpkin and it's like, well, now that's not working out for us. Where you could maybe sign the Carlos Santana and Choi today, and then in 2 years find that solution because in 2 years you have a better, clear understanding of that player today.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The other thing too is at the deadline last year, Santana was traded for a relief pitcher, which you know, we love how Ben Cherington loves. We know how Ben Cherington loves trading for relief pitchers.
Yes.
You know, so Santana can accomplish that too.
Yep. And honestly, I'm sure that's going to happen. Like, I'm sure they're going to be hoping that Santana plays well and he gives the Pirates those 3 months of being a good clubhouse guy, much like Quintana did. And they're looking to dangle and trade him. Obviously, again, like what happened last year, we understand how corners don't get a whole lot. He's probably not going to be traded for a whole lot, but they're going to probably look to dangle him and Choi at the deadline.
Yeah. No, I mean, good signing. Again, like not anything earth shattering here, but they addressed a weakness and they filled it, and it's November 28th. And if you would have told me that the Pirates' first base situation was basically solved on November 28th, I would have said nope. But I'm happy with that.
And you would have told me they made just 2 moves, regardless. Like, they made a move to get Choi, and they signed Carlos Santana before the winter meetings. That's also another thing. I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah,
I would have assumed. Now, Choi made sense. It had to be done immediately, obviously, right? But they went and did it, so they did it. But then, I mean, after that, I would have assumed that, like, if they were going to sign another guy, it just would have came in like February, right? As those prices are dropping, who's willing to come? Who's willing to be the Draw Dyson and say, well, I mean, there is no opportunities out there, so I'm a Pirate.
Yeah.
They went and got, apparently, I don't want to say their guy, but clearly they got who they wanted.
And I think it's important to, like, you look at Santana's slash line last year, and it's not anything great, right? He was league average, like right on the dot, basically. But you know, his batted ball profile looks good. Like I feel like everything about him is like you like what you see out of him. He's in the 97th percentile in walk rate. He doesn't chase pitches, 87% chase rate, 71% whiff percentage. You know, and then everything else, his exit velocity, his expected WOBA, 88th percentile. Looking at his batted ball profile, you're like, this is a good hit. This is somebody who I would want in my lineup. And I think that's what's important here is just he's somebody you want in your lineup. You're probably hitting him somewhere near like the middle of the order. You know, he's probably a 4 or 5 hitter really in this lineup. So no, good move. I think, like I said, I think they identified him as maybe someone who the profile outweighed the performance, and maybe hoping for maybe a little bit extra out of him from what you know was on the field last year. Because overall, like, you look at this Baseball Savant page, and I know it's like, you know, you don't want to necessarily be one of those like red good, blue bad guys, but there's a lot of red on here, and like it's a nice looking page.
When you put into perspective, when you understand what red and blue means, and then try to understand it, I'm with you what you're saying, but it's like, I look at Santana's page, and like there's a lot of red and stuff, but man, you know, I think we talked very lightly about Carlos Santana in the offseason, and maybe more behind the scenes. I know you have some personal motives for Carlos Santana being a good player this year, so for our strat game. But you know, again, like we've talked about Santana, you know, you've mentioned how like he turned around, but we never really dove into him until the signing happened. And now it's like, okay, so did he really turn around? Is he just an aging guy? And I'm so encouraged seeing Carlos Santana. Now, here's the thing too. Since 2022, go to 2021. The reason I'm saying that is, yes, I understand he's aging, right? He's 36. He'll be 37. But looking at this, you know, the page, like you said, like the exit velocity, the WOBA, expected bat, like all this, he actually got better last year than the year before. Like, this isn't a 3-year complete regression, and now you're looking at the 4th year that he's probably going to regress again. I'm not saying he's not going to regress next year. Like, he's going from 36 to 37. I'm probably expecting some regression, right, because of age. But the thing is, when you look at his batted profile, there's a lot to be encouraged about. And I am very comfortable imagining that Carlos Santana is going to outperform his stat line of last year to this year, especially without the shift. Now, let's talk about what that means and why, okay? Because this isn't just, oh, well, there's no shift, so of course Carlos Santana is going to be good. I don't know why, he just is, because I'm talking out my ass. No, like when you look into this, there's real reason to think that. So when he was batting left-handed, because again, like you said, he's a switch hitter. What 98% of the time he was shifted against? 98, the most in baseball. And like when you look year after year, he's at the top, but year after year it gets more and more and more. I want to say like in 18 it was like 65%, then in 19 it was like 79, then 85. Like it kept getting higher and higher and higher. And like if you look at the past few years, his numbers keep getting lower and lower and lower. And so you think maybe that's part of it. And then when you look and you see his BABIP, now this shout out to Alex Stump because I didn't see this before, but we look at his BABIP against lefties is 175, I think, which was like the lowest in baseball history with switch hitters.
Yeah, I saw that.
So this is historically bad. And then again, like when you're looking at the expected stuff, right? Like you mentioned, his expected WOBA was 88 percentile. His expected WOBA was a 352 when in reality it ended up being a 308. That's a big disparity. When you look at the hitters who actually achieved that WOBA, they're guys like George Springer, Anthony Rizzo, Brandon Nimmo, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, Starling Marte, Alex Bregman. I put Joe, Jose Abreu. Those are the guys between 352 and 361. Those are all the qualified hitters. I didn't leave anyone out in that range. That's where he stacks up if like what is expected actually happened. So I truly look at this like if you take away that shift, I'm not out here going to tell you, and don't take this as, well, he's going to be Kyle Schwarber now, right? He's going to be George Springer now. What I'm just trying to say is there's real reason to think that he can improve upon those numbers. And with the shift being gone next year, I could see him improving. Is he going to be like a 130 weighted runs created plus first baseman turning back to an all-star? I doubt it because that's where the age regression probably comes in. But if he's sitting around a 110 weighted run created plus first baseman hitting wise, and he's not like the biggest liability on his splits anymore, you could see him becoming like that everyday player, you know, and like now he's not like a almost $7 million platoon guy. I could really see him getting a lot of playing time where he'll be in the first base and DH a lot, as Troy's going to be first base and DH a lot too. I see this as an actual decent signing. There is some actual intrigue with him, not just, oh, he's going to be 37. He's going to bat even worse than 200 next year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think, I mean, you look at like Vogelbach last year. I feel like Santana is like he's a better version of Daniel Vogelbach, like a more well-rounded version. I think that's kind of the production of Vogelbach is maybe what you can expect, just in different ways. But you know, doesn't strike out a lot. He walks a lot. He sees a lot of pitches. That's another thing that, you know, we've seen the Pirates kind of gravitate towards that type of profile recently. But like Santana's gonna be someone who maybe annoys you sometimes because he takes so many pitches and he gets deep in counts. But like that's kind of who he is. That's who he's always been. He's got one of the highest walk rates in baseball. But as far as like the dude hits the ball hard. Like his exit velocity hasn't missed a beat. It's higher now than it was when he was 29, right? I mean, when in 2015 it was 89.2 and this year 90.7. His max exit velocity is basically the same every single year. Launching, like he's just a consistent hitter, and like you mentioned, his production kind of has fallen, and it's in line with that shift percentage. So like that, it kind of gives you a reason to think, well, maybe there is something more there. You know, when the shift doesn't happen, because yeah, if you look at his page and you're looking at, you know, his WOBA without a shift and his WOBA with a shift, the more and more he got shifted, the lower and lower that WOBA got.
Right.
which isn't to necessarily say that now that the shift is gone, like he's going to be a great hitter, but it's a good sign to see that, you know, there's a correlation there between his WOBA not being in line, his expected numbers not being in line with his regular numbers, and the increase in shift percentage. So no, I'm interested to see what he can do next year. Again, there's nothing bad to say about this signing. Like he's an actual major league hitter at a position that they trotted out Josh Van Meter God knows how many times last year. I could look it up, but I don't want to get sick,
Please don't.
Before I go to work. So
yeah, let's not ruin this glorious Monday. But that's, I'm right with you. Like, that's what I want you to see. Like, there's way more than his batting average, for one. And again, like, that's why I'm encouraged. Like, when you see the numbers drop, but when you look on here, and like that number speaks a lot, right? When you see the exit velocity is not dropping, like he's still hitting the ball very, very hard. Doesn't tell me he's aging and falling apart. Now he could this year. That's right. The one risk you find. Like, this might be the year that the cliff comes and he falls off. And I get that part. But so far, there's nothing to show me, because if you're not just looking at the batting average over the past 3 years, when you're looking at this, like, his profile does not tell me he's breaking down. He's not getting into that cliff yet. He still actually is a good hitter. He's a hard hitter. Well, I'll take it back. Maybe not a good hitter, because a good hitter could hit away, and a good hitter could beat the shift in that sense. But that's not baseball 2022 right now. So, like, but what I'm getting to is, it's not where his exit velocity is dropping, the power is declining, right? This is a guy who's clearly aging, and this is why the numbers are dropping. Those are all the same. So why are the numbers dropping? Well, when you look at the shift and you see this, like you said, there's the correlation. So with the shift being banned, I could see how it could come back to normal, like normalizing a bit, add in some of the aggression for the age. Yes, he's not going to be, like you said, like 2018 Carlos Santana. Was that the year? I believe he was like a 4-WAR player, whatever it was.
2019. Like 2019.
Okay.
Almost
so
5-WAR. Yeah.
Right. So like, I'm not expecting that, but I can certainly expect more than 1 WAR if you were to play a full season, and like a 102 way to run a career plus. Like, I truly think he's probably going to hover around 110 next year. If we do over and unders, that's going to be an over and under for me. I will take the over. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking the over on 109.
Well, now I know when we do our show, I'll try pushing it up a little bit.
I know you're going to make me like,
I'll do like 113 and a half.
Right. And I'm going to hate you so much, because I'm like, damn it. I would probably take the under reluctantly, though. Like I said, like, if he's hovering, I feel like he's going to hover around 110.
Well, I mean, and that's basically where Choi has been the last few years too. So if your two main first basemen are giving you above average production offensively, that's just head and shoulders better than what we had last year. And like we said that, like, that's the one spot where this team can make a dramatic improvement. Like, they were so bad last year that if you just pick up a few competent guys who can play the position, you're 4 wins better. Like 4 to 5 wins better than you were last year. So it looks like that's what they've done. They said they still got to play the season, obviously, but it's hard to be pessimistic about at least the situation at first base. Now, there's other situations that they still need to address. And, we're not saying that this offseason's a win because they did this. There are still things that need to be addressed, and I hope they do address them. But this is a good first step to the offseason.
You're correct. And that's why I just want to go back to, they're spending almost $11 million on these two players. When have the Pirates spent that much money on a position, especially first base? We tout first base is so cheap. And that's the highest paid position. Actually, you could probably add up all the starters' contracts, and it's probably not as much as first base right now. And that's 5 guys.
Yeah, I think Hayes is I think at 10 million, but
I don't think because they're
that
making it high right now and then dropping. Yeah. Okay. So I guess technically Hayes would be potentially. But anyways, what I'm getting to is like they did it. It's not even December yet. Yes, there's more to go, but this is why I say I'm encouraged. And it's more than just lip service this time. Like Cherington's basically said the same thing every single year. And that's why I didn't get encouraged or hyped up when he came out and said what he's going to do this year, because that's what he did last year as well. It's just this year was there's actual things to point to, like he's done. We got Choi and he got Santana, and it wasn't Daniel Vogelbach in February, right? Or March or whatever the hell that even was. So like, this is what I'm alluding to. There's actual stuff that's being done to show what he's saying. So we still got to see how the rest of the offseason goes, but this is a good start to what he said. And this is a good start to bridging that rebuild finally.
Yeah. I mean, well said. I don't think. Yeah, this is a good start. Like I said, there's still a lot to be done, but a good start.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, does that wrap up Carlos Santana for right now?
I think that wraps up Carlos Santana. Need a good year from him because he's a 2023 Royal in the Stratomatic League we're in, and I have an option for him for next year that I can pick up if he does well. So please do well, and then I can have a cheap Carlos Santana for next year.
Jim, I feel like you're going to be happy having Carlos Santana next year. That's where I'm at with Carlos Santana right now.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So I guess before we go, just to say one thing, because, you know, it can't be a North Shore 9 podcast without the mention of Oneil Cruz in his second game hits a home run last night, 3 hits. It was just nice to see. That's all. Just want to point it out.
Yeah, he I mean, we were kind of wondering when he was going to start playing in lead-om, and that happened on Saturday. Saturday was his first game. Made his debut for Licey. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Tigres del Licey. And yeah, yesterday, big game out of Oneil Cruz, including his first home run. So
right. And again, like, talk about a great team guy. You know, his first game, he goes 0 for 4. Doesn't want to take any of the light away from the Carlos Santana signing, right? It's like, hey, Carlos, this is your moment. I'm going 0 for 4, so I don't overshadow it. But, you know, he gave him his day. So Cruz is back. Second game goes, 3 for 3? And with a home run. So Cruz is back.
He's back.
No, excuse me. Anyways, just wanted to bring that up because, of course, there's not much else to really talk about. It's the off season. So, we out of here?
I think so.
Connor says Licey.
Licey, I got it right. That's what my
There is an answer from an Alexa answers.
Alexa turned on too. So I don't know.
You turned her on.
Alexa, stop. All right. No, good stuff.
Let's definitely get out of here now. All right, so we'll be back at some point. Hopefully the Pirates. Hey, the winter meetings are coming up soon too. Actually, that's kind of cool.
They are. Yeah.
So if anything, there's maybe not going to be signings. Maybe there are, but hey, Rule 5 that's coming up. So we know how much that'll get talked about.
We'll have the Rule 5. Is there going to be a Rule 5 in the draft lottery too?
Oh wait, yeah, the draft lottery is going to happen too. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
We get to see the Pirates going to be picking 17th next year. So the whole point of tanking was stupid.
I'd be so mad.
Let's definitely get out of here now. All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, review us on iTunes, whatever you want to do. We appreciate it all. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
See you guys.